Alright, we're back, and we're reviewing N.E.R.D's second album, Fly or Die. In the last video, I reviewed their first album, In Search Of. I recommend you watch that one. I mean, you don't have to, it isn't like a series, but like, you should still watch it, you know? But now we're moving on to Fly or Die, which is honestly my second favorite album of all time, right under Plastic Beach by Gorillaz. I have such a special connection to this album, and I'm really excited to talk about it. This is a humongous improvement over In Search Of, and is the best album N.E.R.D has ever made. I mean, it's better in every single way. It has better instrumentals, better lyrics even. The lyrics in this album are actually really good. Like I said in the first video, N.E.R.D isn't known for having great lyrics, but this album is the only exception. It's expertly written. Not to take anything away from In Search Of, that's also a really good album, but this is N.E.R.D at their best. This takes the cake in every single aspect of their music, and is the best thing any of them have ever made. Now, some songs from In Search Of had a real funk rock vibe to them, but I feel like Fly or Die takes those sounds and expands upon them. Like, this is the most rock-influenced album they've ever made. The thing about this album is that some of the songs actually have hidden tracks at the end of them, because in 2004 when the CD came out, that was a thing that artists did, I guess. But nowadays, these songs basically just function as two-parters, which is probably what influenced Tyler, the Creator, to do the same thing on his albums. Now, without further ado, let's get into these songs, starting with the opening track, Don't Worry About It. Now, Don't Worry About It is definitely one of N.E.R.D's better opening tracks. It perfectly sets the tone for the sound and style of this album with those crunchy guitars. And before the drums come in, it starts with Pharrell having the spoken word section. And I think it's so cool to have a rock album open with Pharrell talking about the beauty of a black woman. Like, that is the coolest thing. And when the drums do come in, the whole band starts chanting the main refrain of the song, which is really well executed. Pharrell's more falsetto and scratchy vocals that are kind of screamy at some points remind me of something that would be on like a 1970s funk rock album. It is so sick. And when the bridge comes in, the band is firing at all ends. The bridges on the last album were great, but the bridges on this album are legendary, bro. The cool and unique thing about this song and other songs on the album is that Chad Hugo actually has backing vocals. Usually the vocals are just handled by Pharrell and Shay, and Chad is just instrumentation and production, but he actually sings on some songs in this album, and it's really cool. N.E.R.D tried making sex songs on the last album, like Tape You and Truth or Dare, but they kind of flopped and felt kind of forced. But on this album, let's just say they're a lot better. Alright, obviously we're off to a really great start, but it's time to move on to the next track on the album, Fly or Die. This is the title track for the album, and if you thought Don't Worry About It was good, this track is amazing. One of the best songs on the album, and one of the best songs in general. I feel like this album is perfect for teenagers, which is what I am, and this is the best example of that. I mean, it even starts off with Shay Haley saying, "This is for the kids! This is only for the kids!" This song is just pure N.E.R.D. If someone was trying to get into the band, this is the first song I recommend they listen to. I feel like it represents their sound perfectly. And also, besides Baby Doll from the last album, this might just be their best hook. This has really great instrumentation and lyrics and vocals, and honestly, this is a real early highlight for this album and one of their landmark songs. Alright, next up we have Jump, which has a similar vibe to the last song in terms of lyricism and production, but is somehow even better, and one of the best songs on the album. This is the only song on Fly or Die with vocal features with Benji and Joel Madden, who actually do a really great job and add a lot to the song. The hook along with the main synth melody is a real earworm. I feel like Jump really builds off of the themes from Fly or Die in a really compelling way and makes the album feel really cohesive. And the bridge on this song is definitely in my top 3 for the best bridges they've ever made. It's longer than usual, but it's really emotional and works a lot. The amount of energy and love that went into this song is so apparent, and it's one of my favorite songs of all time. Alright, next up we have Backseat Love, which isn't anywhere near as good as the first 3 and is the worst song on the album, but it's still not bad. It has a great beat and it's really catchy, but it has a very similar problem to Tape You from the last album, in that it's trying to be a sex song, but it really doesn't work and it feels really forced. It's about having sex in the backseat of the car, but the lyrics are just really bad, and Pharrell kind of sounds eerie on this song, not gonna lie. The song only has one verse, which is not very good, but it's definitely saved by the hook and the bridge. If those two elements weren't in the song, it would suck, but the fact that they are really saves this track for me and makes it a good song. On the next song, She Wants to Move, we get right back on track in terms of quality. This was the first single released for the album, and I think it works great as that. To this day, this is still one of N.E.R.D's most popular songs, and it's very easy to see why. It has a really catchy hook and just a catchy song in general. I love the mix of electric guitar and acoustic guitar. I love the piano that gets incorporated during the pre-chorus, and I also love the way Pharrell and Shay Haley are switching back and forth. It's really fun. And that's honestly one of my favorite things about this band. You can tell how much fun they're having in the studio just by listening to the songs, and that's always great. This song is really energetic in general, but it goes so hard live. I really wish that I could see them live, because this song would be so awesome to see. Not the best song on the album, but She Wants to Move is still a great song in general. Alright, now we've reached the point of the album where things start to slow down a little bit, and that starts with the song Breakout. Now, I don't mean slow down in like a bad way, I mean that it gets a little bit more melancholic and introspective during this section of the album. And despite being a little bit more of a moody and slowed down track, it still has an energetic chorus, to be honest. And yeah, I know it feels like I'm saying this about every track, but Breakout is another one of my favorite songs on the album. I love the guitar line, I love Pharrell's emotive vocals, I love Shay Haley's bridge at the end, I love the spoken word section. This is just an all-around great track. Next up, we have Wonderful Place, which is the first song on the album that has a hidden track. And Wonderful Place is, well, it's wonderful. It's a really wonderful and beautiful song in terms of the lyrics and the instrumentation. The entire album has an anti-war message, but I feel like it's best executed in this song and the peaceful way it portrays it. This is another song where Chad Hugo has backing vocals, and it really shows how much he adds to the songs that he sings on, and it makes me wish that he sang on more tracks, to be honest. I love the horns during the chorus. I love Pharrell's falsetto sounding more vulnerable than usual. This song just makes me feel good. I don't know, it's a really good song. The hidden track at the end is a song called Find My Way, which isn't as good as Wonderful Place, but is still a really good song. It has a really interesting and well-told story over acoustic guitar and strings, and is probably the most experimental song on the album. It sounds nothing like anything else they've ever done. Alright, the next song is Drill Sergeant, another song with a hidden track at the end. It's similar to Wonderful Place in its anti-war message, but this song and the hidden track both have much more of an aggressive tone. The song seems to be against having young people sacrifice their lives for a meaningless war, and it's executed really well. The lyrics on Drill Sergeant on both the chorus and the verses are actually really compelling and deep, to be honest. It seems to be a much darker place than N.E.R.D. usually goes into, and they'll do this a few other times in their career, but it's really well done here. And even besides that, it's just a really catchy song with a great hook and a great chorus, like pretty much every single other N.E.R.D. song. And the hidden track, Preservation, seems to build off of the themes of Drill Sergeant in a really great way, and it seems a lot more aggressive. I love the mix of those hard rock guitars and those orchestral strings, and I love the lyrics. I also love the fact that the song's actually in 3/4, which is a very unique time signature for the song to be in. Alright, next up we had the song Thrasher, which is kind of towards the bottom of the pack, to be honest. There are much better songs that overtake it, but it's still a good song nonetheless. I love the aggressive guitar licks, I love the piano that gets incorporated, it has a great bridge like usual. I also love the chanting that Shay Haley does during the chorus. This song is also really great live. Yeah, not the best, not the worst, just a pretty good song. Alright, next up we have the best song that this band has ever made in their entire career. Maybe. Seriously, Maybe is the best song N.E.R.D. has ever made and probably ever will make. It is them firing at all ends in every single aspect. The instrumentation, the lyrics, literally everything. This is in my top 5 favorite songs of all time, and I can't even believe how much I love this song. This song really shows what this amazing band can do, and it's basically perfect. There are very few songs that reach these heights for me. There are almost none that reach the heights that this song features for me. It's perfect in every way in my eyes. The lyrics are great and introspective, the hook is fantastic, but the highlight is the bridge. I know I've said that 1,000 times at this point, but this is their best bridge, and probably my favorite bridge of all time. And it perfectly shows why I will always prefer live instrumentation over anything else. Because N.E.R.D. kind of strays away from that later in their career, but this will always be their best album and their best song because of the live instruments they use. The piano, the guitar, the bass, the drums, and the synthesizers all make this the best song they have ever made. I can't stretch that enough. Anyway, yeah, it's a good song. Alright, the next song is The Way She Dances, which has the hardest job of all time. It has to follow up the best song. You'd expect it to be a disappointment in comparison, but nope, this is also a really good song. Is this song as good as Maybe? No, definitely not, but I still love it. This is definitely the funnest song on the album. A lot of these tracks deal with more heavy themes, but this is just a fun song. I'm surprised it wasn't a single, to be honest. It's honestly probably one of the best instrumentals on the album, and it has a great hook as well. And the highlight is, not only does it have one bridge, it has 2 bridges, bro. 2 entire bridges on this song. The first one is good, it's serviceable, it does its job, but the second one is one of their best. It's an entire beat switch and it lasts for a minute until the song ends. It has each member individually sing the refrain until the end of the song, and it is such a good way to close out the last leg of the album before the last couple of songs. Yeah, the way she dances is just a really nice and fun and sweet song until we get to the last track. Alright, the last song on this album is another song that has a hidden track, and the hidden track is my second favorite N.E.R.D. song. I honestly wish the hidden track was just its own song, because it's honestly way better than the main song and works perfectly as a closer. I might as well talk about the main song though. It's Chariot of Fire, and it's okay. It's honestly just okay. I don't really feel too strongly about this song. I rarely even think about it, if not for the hidden track. Yeah, Chariot of Fire is a pretty good song, but the hidden track is called Find My Way, and like I already said, it's one of my all-time favorite N.E.R.D. songs just by itself. It's the best closer N.E.R.D. has ever done. I feel like it ties up any loose ends left by the other tracks, and it's the most emotional song on the album except for Maybe. So yeah, the main track is just decent, but the hidden track is absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's N.E.R.D.'s second album, and their best album, Fly or Die. I honestly don't really have much else to say about it. It's just like a really good album. If you're trying to get into the band, I recommend you start with this. Alright, next up we'll be talking about their third album, Seeing Sounds. But until then, I've been Ark, and that's enough out of me.